Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Starting the Day the Right Way for August 29th, 2020. August is almost done. My goodness, it is the weekend. Hopefully, you're out doing something good. All right, so let's jump right into it. Me and my son, my wife, we were hanging out at the park yesterday and with his some of his friends and there was a couple of things happening there that my wife was discerning, and we ended up coming back to our house, and then a couple other things happened that my wife was discerning, and later we had a conversation with our son. And right now it's easier to discern the condition of my son's heart, right? And we're constantly talking to him about, keeping his heart pure and his motives pure, whether he's talking to us or to his friends. And so that may not always be the case, but me and my wife are praying for discernment in the teenage years because we know it's going to get a lot tougher down the road as responsibilities and things and maturity in life just occur. But we want to instill in him the importance of the condition of his heart. And the more pure his heart, the more pure his motives, and then the better a person he'll be in society. So that's our goal as parents. So that led me this morning to this portion of scripture in 1 Samuel chapter 8, 5 through 10. And it says this. It says, "Look, they told him, 'You are now old, and your sons are not like you. Give us a king to judge like all the other nations have.'" At this time, Israel had never had a king, and this was the point in time where there were various judges. Judges were known to be spoken to by God and released wisdom into the population of the Israelites of this time. But other people had kings. And so the Israelites grew jealous that other people had a king, but they didn't. God was their king, but they wanted somebody real and somebody here on earth. They wasn't satisfied that God was just their king. So they were talking to Samuel, who was coming to the end of his rule as a judge. And they were like, "Give us a king, give us a king." And so verse 6 says, "Samuel was displeased with their request and went to the Lord for guidance. 'Do everything they say to you,' the Lord replied, 'for they are rejecting me, not you. They don't want me to be their king any longer. Ever since I brought them out of Egypt, they have continually abandoned me and followed other gods. And now they are giving you the same treatment. Do as they ask, but solemnly warn them about the way a king will reign over them.'" So Samuel passed on the Lord's warning to the people who were asking for a king. All right. So again, the Israelites were just looking around at the world and looking around at what they did not have, and they were not looking at what they did have in God. God had done miraculous things and had miraculous provisions for them, getting them out of Egypt, and during their time wandering in the desert. Just food and clothing and things were provided incredibly, but that wasn't enough. And so while praying for this morning, that got me to thinking how sometimes or many times, we look around and we look at what others have and what others are doing. And we totally forget, one, what God has already done for us in the past, and two, what he's promised to provide for us in the future. And that's a very iffy place to be. Then the other thing that the Lord was pointing out to me is the purity of our heart. All right. And again, this is something we're trying to instill upon our son. But sometimes when we're praying for things and just desiring things and really pressing into God, God is actually protecting us from our own selves. When we're asking for things that we have no idea of where they're going to lead us. The Israelites were praying, or not praying, they were asking for a king, and they were looking around, seeing what everybody else had and what a king would be. But they didn't realize what the negative consequences of that would be. Okay. So when praying to God, when seeking God out for direction or for anything, you need to really dig deep and make sure that you are asking with the purest of motives. When Jesus was walking the earth, everything he did had pure motives behind it. There was not one selfish ambition behind anything that Jesus did. And that's where we need to be when we're praying for guidance or when we're praying for a solution to a problem. We need to make sure that we're not praying so that we're lifted up. We need to make sure that we're praying so that God is lifted up, right? Okay. So dig into this. Okay. Again, the purity of the heart matters. Motives matter to God. Okay. Jesus always took things a step further, right? He went into our thoughts. He went into our hearts, right? He said, if you have hatred towards your brother, then you are almost that you not murdering him, but he said that in your thought process, you are murdering him, right? If you have looked at a woman or a man lustfully, you have already committed adultery with them. So Jesus went to the thought process. That's where God goes to. He checks the heart in all things. He checks the heart in all matters. So make sure your heart is pure. All right. May this be a blessing, and have an awesome day and a great rest of the weekend.